So Tony, first question I suppose has to be about Ross Stewart. How much of a blow is it to lose him for the rest of the season?
For the football team, it's obviously a huge blow. I think he was almost, I don't know the ratio, but it was almost every time he went on the pitch he scored. And, I'm not sure how many goals per games, but yeah, and he's a big personality around the group. He's a big. I think the team feels safer with him on the pitch. Feels good that we can score. It's and it's really good to have a footballer like that. And yet, when I first arrived, after he'd scored 2 in the first game, he got injured in the next one in the warm-up, and so we missed. Did he miss 3 months? We have to find a way really, and since then we've obviously Ahmed has come to the fore, because early on Ahmed wasn't making an impact really. He's now a really, really important player for us, and of course we will call him Joffy, but Joe Gelhardt is here, and he's an exciting prospect. He's a young boy, of course, but he's a very, very talented individual. We see on training ground already how exciting the team can be with these technical, quick, fast players. Training can be sometimes, as coaching staff, I know I do, I sit there and think, wow, having been in football for 20 years, to see so many high technical footballers playing such sharp, crisp, quick football around the box and scoring goals is exciting. So we have to do it on match days, of course, and the challenge for these lads without Ross is to keep bringing that inventive, creative, clever play around the box and make sure we get enough bodies in there to score the goals to help us win matches.
And Ross himself, he has been really unlucky with injuries over a period of time. How is he himself? Because psychologically it's tough when players
I think as the days roll on, he becomes more and more positive. He's still on his crutches with his boot on, his big protective boot on his foot, but so now he's waiting for surgery. But he's bright, he's positive. I think footballers come to terms with it really. I think they understand that they've got a task in front of them, a period of time where it's going to be really, really hard work to get back to where you need to be, and I think they get through the initial disappointment, frustration, upset, anger, whatever the emotion, and then you have to prepare yourself for the work that's in front, and that's what Ross seems to me. He's accepted it now. He's ready. He wants his operation as quick as he can get it done, and start the process of getting back. And we'll be here to support him as much as we can, and hopefully it's a smooth transition back to playing whenever that might be, pre-season. Hopefully we'll wait and see.
Because Achilles injuries, they're notoriously difficult, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's hard to sort of put a time frame on them sometimes.
Yeah, you just hope there's a smooth rehabilitation, and the programme that's in place for him, is I'm pretty sure, it's not a brand new injury that no one's ever had. There'll be lots of cases, and the medical department will have a very, very clear plan for him. And as I say, let's hope it's a smooth transition back into fitness, and look forward to the days we see him on the pitch, and hopefully through pre-season he's out there doing the work and planning and preparing his core fitness ready for his injury to be ready to play.
So you mentioned Joe Gelhardt there, very exciting player, another very young player. With you having 3 sons of your own, do you think that helps to kind of, when you've got a group that is so young?
Yeah, as long as we talk a lot about bringing in the right characters, really, bringing in the right people, and Joe is just a decent, normal, hard-working, honest guy who just wanted to play football. Really, I think everybody around football had seen him develop at Wigan, really, and I just think it's really exciting. I think around the building he just wants to play, he wants to get his boots on, and he wants to whack the ball in the net and dribble and shoot, and he's just excited, I think, to be given the opportunity to come and play. And when I discussed it with him, he knew we had Ross Stewart, is he going to play enough football? And I talked about, if your talent is what I believe your talent is, we'll find a way. We'll play two up front. We'll play you just behind him, or because he knew we had Ahmed as well. And it's, I think for Joffrey, I feel as if he now will feel that he is going to play. We are going to be relying on him to score goals. He has to get in the box, and yet he does want to come to the ball and get it and spin and show how strong and direct and powerful he is. I think we're all excited to see how he fits in with Ahmed and Pat and Jack, and let's let it develop and let it grow, really, I think, and let's see how we get on. But we need to keep him fit, strong, robust, and hopefully, it seems a negative. We going into this period with one out and out striker. And yet if that one out and out striker knows that he's the man, and he's a young boy, but he takes on the burden of trying to score the goals, the real clear picture in my mind is that he's a huge success, scores bags of goals, the team function, he just keeps growing and developing, and we all enjoy the rest of the season. Of course, the negative is with one striker at any moment, any given moment, it could be disaster for us, really, and yet we've been through that. We had 3 months without any strikers, and we didn't fall off a cliff. We won some games, we scored some goals. We can do that again, and as I intimated earlier, in that period Ahmed really hadn't made the breakthrough into becoming established. He was still a bit shy, a bit quiet around the building. He was mixing in with the other new cohorts who'd just come in at that Rotherham game. I think they were on the pitch, they got presented to the fans. He's now a confident kid who knows he's important to the team, and so he can play high up the pitch if required. I think Ahmed can play anywhere, to be honest, and so I don't sit here and think we're really short. I mean, watching Isaac in training, he's going to excite the fans. I think when he picks it up, and he's so fast off a standing start and running past people, and yet just another young boy. I'd like to say, it feels to me, having been in football a long time, the future looks really bright for the football club, as long as we can keep the kids all enjoying it, believing in themselves, confident, because they have wonderful attributes and assets. And hopefully with Joe Gelhardt staying fit and positive and scoring goals, it should be a really exciting period for the team.
So presumably he will be involved tomorrow.
It was either you or him up front. No. Sore Achilles, yeah.
So another trip to London. Possibly one you could have done without, really, when you're thinking about next week as well.
Oh, listen, the fixture list is a fixture list. We drew Fulham away in the cup, and then we've got to go to Millwall. Midweek, the replay. I said after the game, I think both managers would have done without the replay, I suppose, and yet you don't want to be out of the cup. You'd rather have the replay than be out of it. So the fixtures list is the fixture list. We have to get on with it. I've got to go to QPR in 10 days' time or whatever it is as well, another trip to London. So the positive for me, I was trying to say to them, listen, you young lads, God, I can remember when I was 19, I'd be saying, sit on that bus for 20 hours, never mind 5 or 6 hours. It's just to play football at the end of it. It doesn't even feel like work, it's like you're on a little holiday down to the south. It's great. I hope they all buy into that and believe that that's fine. Ultimately they get judged what's on the pitch, and modern day football. We'll leave on the Friday. We'll get there. They'll have a good night's sleep. Hopefully, get up and go and play the match, and we'll get back on the coach. And we'll think. Days seem to disappear when you get into routines like this, and you do a lot of travelling and a lot of games. You sort of miss days because you seem to be sitting on that coach forever, and then you play the game, and then you're getting back after midnight, and you're getting home and you're getting up, and you've got to go again, and in 2 days you've got to get back on the bus and get back to London. It's I hope they're young enough and full of love of the game that they just want to play, really, and they don't feel fatigue, and they don't feel in any way tired. They just want to play, and hopefully, as I talked about there, show the qualities and the creative nature of the team.
In terms of the match against Fulham, you know, I personally think it was the best performance I've seen Sunderland play this season. How much kind of hope does that give you? Or not hope. When you looked at that game and you're playing against a Premier League side, and you're looking, aren't you, to see how you match up against a team in a high division.
Yeah.
You matched them, and you must be very, very pleased about that.
Yeah, I think that what's important is that when you've got the ball against these teams, they feel your threat. They feel that they can't just run over the top of you, because having managed in the Championship for a while, sometimes you play against Premier League teams, and this is a confident, bright Fulham team, not with that many changes, and ultimately probably had their strongest setup on the pitch towards the end. I think you have to make them feel, it's like a boxer really, you have to throw some punches back. They have to feel your threat, they have to feel that you've got a punch, and so they can't just keep walking on top of you, and I think we did that. So when we had the ball, we give them some problems, and we got through their lines, and we got to their box, and we attacked and had shots, and so they had to be wary. And I think if you don't ever do that, and you sit there and you think, oh, let's play 5-4-1, we know they're going to have the ball, and you just allow and accept that, it becomes almost like attack for defence for 90 minutes, and it's whether they can score. I felt with the quality that they had, they were going to create chances, and they did. I think they had 20 good shots. You know, with total respect, as I watched the game, I watched the game back, their quality was really, really high. What was really pleasing was that when we did win it, our quality was really high as well, and it wasn't a game about, oh, we fought really well and we should be proud because Sunderland would, you know, really give a good account of themselves because they fought. I thought we showed Premier League quality with the ball at times when we had it against a really good team who were the 7th in the Premier League. It's not as if they're 17th. So that was the pleasing aspect, that Roberts and Clark and Diallo and Dan Neil, all these young talented footballers could show that they could cope with the level, and they have to try and do it again next Wednesday. I do think it's a tough game. I don't sit here and think, oh, we've done the hard work, we've got to draw away, we've got Fulham at home now. It's still as tough. They're still going to be really, really talented with the ball. They're still going to get through you. They've still got amazing footballers, and so it's another huge test for us, and we have to try and get to the levels we got to, and confidence of moving the ball, being positive, playing through their lines, attacking them, pushing them back, because I know they'll definitely push us back and get it round our box at times.
But it's impressive that such a young group of players can do that, and seemingly without any fear at all that they are a team.
Yeah. I think it's only a mindset for them. I think it's which is what we're trying to give them, confidence and belief that they are good players. We have to play to our strengths, because when I look at us now, we aren't the biggest team in the world. We can't sit back and soak it up, in my opinion. We have to go and play, and some days we might leave ourselves exposed, and so we might have the odd 3-3 or something like that somewhere down the line, but it's how you want to play, and I believe with the players we've got and the talent we've got, we need to be able to get the ball forward. We need to be able to play and get it to their feet, really, because, you know, as Joffy, he's not 6'3", 6'4", he's 5'7". You know, we have to get it to his feet, get it into his body. We have to be able to pass and play, and I think they enjoy doing that, and we'll try and continue to do it and see where it takes us.
Tom. Hi, Tony. Obviously, having this game in the league between the two cup games, does it kind of put more emphasis on a good performance against Millwall, so that you go in with momentum against Fulham at home?
I hope so. I think, listen, the league, the league's always your bread and butter. The league is, 3 points are up for stake on Saturday, and we won't. We have total focus on it. The balance for me is to try not to taper training down too much, because we need to keep everybody fit, and sometimes the intensity that we train really puts demands on the players, and trying to get that balance right of not underplaying the next game, because the 3 points is massive for us. We need to go to Millwall. We know what's coming. I said to the team yesterday, so I was at Blackburn 5.5 years. 4.5 years of them were playing against Millwall. And Millwall away is probably as tough a game as you get in this league. whatever people think about Millwall, the support base is a massive help for that football team. Whether the stadium's full or not, the people actually turn up at that game. The noise they make and the atmosphere and the drive they give their supporters is like an extra man, really. And I know I think we've sold our allocation out, so it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere in the stadium on the day. We have to get to the levels that we know we can get to, and if we do get to them levels, we can give any team in the league a tough game. But the point I'm trying to make is, if we're not up for this game against Millwall, we'll get beat. We have to find the same intensity levels and adrenaline levels that we showed last weekend at the Cottage.
And I suppose it's two sides that their approach to the game is quite different. Millwall play with a little bit more needle, obviously Fulham are a bit more free-flowing. Does that impact how you approach it as well?
Well, I think as long as you're aware of the opposition and what they do and what they bring to each game, we will try and impose our style on the game, really. I think it's important that we don't get too wrapped up, which we were trying to say, don't get too wrapped up in the opposition of what they bring and what they do, because we might stop doing what we're good at. So, as I said, when we went to Fulham, we had to be good with the ball, because if we keep giving it back, we're not going to ever get a kick, and they're going to just like attack for your defence. Against Millwall, you have to bring an element of attritional qualities. You have to bring your sword and shield and go to war at times, but don't forget to play, because that's what our team is about. And if we get wrapped up in a fight, we're probably going to come out second best. So whilst you have to fight, to make sure when we've got the ball, they know that they're playing against a football team.
And just kind of touching on transfers again, obviously a really awkward time to lose Ross Stewart, kind of where it was in the window. Have you considered like the free market, the free transfer market? Is that something you've looked at to bolster the squad, or are you happy with the options you've got?
So we've looked at every market, believe me. We've discussed the free players, we've looked at them, we've discussed whether we think it's appropriate or right. At this moment, we're happy to go with what we've got. We say happy, we worked really hard. I know Christian did a podcast or something yesterday, but there's a lot of work went into it. We were left disappointed, really, some of the targets that we had, but that's okay. And I know the supporters will be disappointed, because they all want, I suppose they'd all like us to be like Chelsea, I suppose, and just keep bringing more players in. But I think it's right to say that we are there is a plan, we are trying to create an identity and a culture, and I think it's important that the right players come in, that we identify and we go through the processes and do the due diligence on them, and then try and bring them in and help the team. But I would prefer to go into these games with the players that we want, rather than thinking, gosh, we need a number 9, and bring any number 9 because he's got a number 9 on his shirt, bring him into the club. Because if he doesn't fit the culture, he doesn't fit the identity, he can't do what we try to coach into the team, but he could stand in the box and he scores goals, or he's got a goal record. I think it's more important to keep doing what we're trying to do, rather than think, oh, we've lost a striker, let's just bring a striker in. Because I know, as a coach for a long time, you get judged on your team at the end of the day. And so if we bring somebody in who's not planned, not somebody we've looked at, not somebody we've worked on and believed is right for the team, we just bring him in because he plays in that position and the team doesn't do very well, you get judged on that, regardless of whether he was your target or not. I'd rather work with the players that we identify and then get judged on the team that we produce, really. At this moment, it's if our one number 9 gets injured, of course, we have a real difficult scenario, and we'll be sitting having the conversations we had 6 months ago, talking about finding a way, play false 9s, 2 number 10s, whatever it is. But at this moment, we're okay, and we're looking forward to the next challenge. And as I said before, we should all look forward to the second half of the season. It's we've got some good players, and I've got belief in them that we can go and give a really good account of ourselves.
You touched on identity there. Obviously, having so many young players in the squad, how much does that kind of start to foster itself in terms of the dynamics of the dressing room, having those young players in place, and the targets that you brought in, like Joe Anderson, Joe Gelhardt, how easy is it for them to slot into that dressing room when it's kind of players of a certain age profile, I suppose?
Yeah, easier, I would suggest, for that young players to fit in with young players. They've got common goals. They're probably playing FIFA against each other when they leave here. You know, it's listen. The frustration, the difficulty is we lost Corey Evans as well as Ross Stewart. These are two men in a dressing room of kids, really, and they're not going to be able to influence on match days as much as we would have wanted. We worked really, really hard to bring another midfield player in of substance, of character, who I know is a very, very, very good player and knew the league. You know, we got really close, it didn't happen, and so we were left a bit frustrated. And obviously at the top end of the pitch we worked extraordinarily hard for the 2.5 days we had to try and find another striker, because we were happy to go in with 2 top strikers in our opinion, really, and now we find ourselves with 1. It was really difficult late on to try and identify and bring in another one. I think Christian mentioned we'd worked really hard for a considerable amount of time in bringing in another young 18-year-old striker with huge potential. That didn't quite fall our way as well, and but listen, I sit here just seeing as long as we've got a plan, as long as we know where we're going. Sometimes you can't get everything you want, but as long as you know. So what I do know is that the recruitment department will be trying to identify the next young 18, 19, 20-year-old striker that will sign permanently and give a 5-year deal to, and know that somewhere down the line he's going to be the man, he's going to be the guy who scores the goals that takes the team where we need to go.
And I know Ellis Sims is a player that he's obviously been here before, and a player that you admire. Was that somebody that you were kind of looking at, or was that kind of complicated by the situation at Everton as well?
Well, it was only all about Everton at the end of the day. Listen, I know Sean really well, and I did have contact with Sean, and pretty late on they were trying to do their business, and if they'd done their business, I'm pretty hopeful Ellis was coming back. They didn't get their business done, as ultimately reflected with us, but we were trying to do other business. We weren't sitting waiting on Ellis. If Ellis had have come through, it would have been great, and I'd have had a different type of problem trying to keep everybody happy to give them a game. But it didn't happen for Everton, and it didn't happen for us.